Good afternoon and welcome to another one of the Veterans Forums. Tonight, or this afternoon, excuse me, we have another young fella here who has done his thing and he's here to share some of that experience with us. We were talking before the show, and Dick, as you'll come to know him, has certain things that he just will not and cannot talk about, and we'll try not to go there at all. But again, as an open invitation to all you guys and gals, particularly the women, if you have a story and you can and will share it with us, please come, because we want to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. Today's program, he'll be the first guy we've had in the 2 years we've been on the show who served during the Korean conflict, they called it. They didn't declare war, but we sure had an awful time while I was there. The program will follow the standard routine. We'll find out who he is, where he came from, and what he did. Richard, I welcome you, and as usual, would like you, if you will, tell us your name and spell your last name, please.
Richard Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay. If you will, your dates of service, your branch of service, and that kind of stuff, if you will.
I was in the U.S. Navy. And I went to school in Jacksonville, Florida for aircraft electrical.
Okay.
And I was in Great Lakes, Illinois for boot camp for 21 weeks. Then from there I went to Jacksonville, Florida for electrical training. Then to Memphis, Tennessee for electrical training. And to Norfolk Overhaul and Repair Department for electrical work on aircraft.
Okay, well, now you were on the Princeton, I believe, with all the good paperwork we show here.
That was my home ship, but I was also on the box of the Bonhomme Richards.
Oh.
I was on those for a while for
training.
training.
So you saw the Navy and you saw the world at the same time, then, huh? Okay. Oh, okay.
But I thought I was going to get through the service without ever going to war, but Uncle Harry said, no, you're not going to leave for another year. The day your enlistment is up, that's 1 year from now instead of this year.
Okay, Uncle Harry was Mr. Truman, I believe?
So otherwise I would have been stateside and on the ocean on carriers training.
Okay.
And then gone home without ever going to war. But
well, what were your dates of service? 1952?
1947 to 52.
Okay, all right, thank you. To build a little history so that folks get some idea about you, where were you born, and when, and how was it growing up as a kid?
I was born in Greenfield, Mass, March 1930. And growing up as a kid was rough. It was right after the Depression had just started, and our families, and matter of fact, 3 or 4 of the families in my neighborhood were some of the poorest people in town. And if we hadn't had a good hard-working father, I don't think we would have made it. Yeah. My father worked 17, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. He'd get up 4 o'clock in the morning, never show up again until 9, 10 o'clock at night.
What kind of work was he doing?
Farm work, and WPA, CCC.
Okay.
Like everybody else at that time, it was the only work there was. Now you work on the farms, you get paid in chickens and beef and pork and
yeah, you ate well,
eggs.
Yeah, it worked. Now, what about way back then, if you will, schooling? What was your schooling like? Did you go through high school, graduate high school?
Yeah, I went to grade school 2 miles from home. Went to Greenfield High School, which is 12 miles away. Get there any way I could.
Okay, hitchhike, motorcycle, or Shanks mare?
Well, I went on skis sometimes.
Oh?
12 miles on skis is no fun.
Particularly if it's all uphill. Okay, well, a lot of people don't recognize what, quote, if you will, we did back in those days with respect to making a living and then enjoying life. You want to share some of your early childhood, if you will? Like, do you have any brothers and sisters? And, what kind of schooling did they have?
I had three brothers and a sister.
Okay.
And like I said, we went to grade school just a couple miles away. Sometimes we had to walk, sometimes we got a ride, and sometimes whatever way we could get there. And school didn't close down for snow days like they do now.
I know.
We had maybe 1 snow day a year. That's because we had 4 feet of snow. And the roads were unplowed and there was no way to get through. And we used to have a thing in our neighborhood there. When the snowplow came in, they had a Caterpillar tractor with a big V plow.
Mm-hmm.
He'd come in and get in some hollows, like when the road went down into a hollow. He'd get stuck in there. he had an air whistle on that tractor, and he blew that air whistle until the neighbors heard him, and we all had to go out and shovel him out to get him loose so he could plow the road.
Shovel the plow out, huh?
Shovel the plow out. That was the rule of our neighborhood.
Okay.
When the plow blew that air whistle, we had to go and dig him out.
Not another
Whether it was
shack.
2 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning.
And if you didn't go out, you didn't get out.
If
you
we didn't go out and clean him out, we didn't go nowhere that day
Oh, God.
because there was no way to get out.
Okay. Now, did you go through high school? Graduate
I
high
went
school?
to junior year.
Okay.
I quit junior year and went in the Navy.
So.
I was intending to go in the Coast Guard, but I found there was no Coast Guard recruiting station within miles and miles of where I lived. So I went to Greenfield and joined the Navy.
Any brothers and sisters join up like that? Or any
I had one
uncles?
brother in the service, yeah.
Okay.
But my other brother had scoliosis and he couldn't join, so. Yeah, there's curvature to the spine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my wife's got the dang thing.
Yeah.
She walks list to starboard, if my brother says about it.
But those 4 of us from high school all went to join at the same time. They went through the Greenfield deal there with the Navy office,
Mm-hmm.
signed up there, and then they sent us to Springfield by train to have our physicals. One of the guys took the physical and he had flat feet and they wouldn't take him. Another guy had a crooked leg, bad knee, and they wouldn't take him either. The third guy, he got all the way to the physical and decided, I don't want no part of this, and he went home. Me, like a dummy, I stood there and let him do it.
And prod and poked, and they took you, huh? This is prime
Yeah.
beef. We'll take him and put him there.
Yeah.
Where'd you go for boot training?
For what?
Where did you go for boot training? Boot camp?
Boot camp, Great Lakes, Illinois. I went to Bainbridge, Maryland first. I was there 3 weeks and they shut the place down.
No.
Shagged us all out to Great Lakes, Illinois.
Were you there in the summer or the winter time?
Late summer and early winter.
Oh, because some of the guys that we've had in the past, when they went to Great Lakes in the wintertime, they said they was so dang cold sometimes that you
Oh, it was-
locked them in, you couldn't
It's
get out.
miserable out there, yeah.
And it was just plain cold.
Yeah.
Now, everybody has a story about boot camp. Do you have any that are good, bad, funny, or sick, or sad?
I had kind of a rough chief petty officer that trained us.
Uh-huh.
He was with us all the time, just like a boss, you know, or trainer or something, what do you want to call him? He was our master,
Okay.
so to speak. He was kind of a rough character. He had a bad attitude. I think he'd been in about 24 years, so who wouldn't have?
Yeah, you never know. Some of them, well, today you've got to be nice.
Yeah.
If you're not nice, they'll take
Well,
they'll
today,
kick you out. Yeah.
today you can't
It's a
handle
different
people
world.
like you
Yeah,
used to.
I know. Well, hey, we learn a lot in 60 years, you know.
Yeah.
What when you left Boot, where did you go? Did you sign up particularly any special schools for
Yeah,
any training?
aircraft
How did you
electric-
come by making that selection? Did they tell you, or did you have a
No, I
choice?
signed up for that when I first went in.
Okay,
That
and
was
you
part
got
of
what you
my-
wanted.
That was part of my enlistment.
Okay.
I'd pick what I wanted. And maybe I'd get it, maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah, that maybe.
But when I finished boot camp, the list came out. My name was on there for Jacksonville, Florida, for Aviation Electrical School. So I got it.
Good.
I made it right then and there. So that's what I took, was Aviation Electrical, which is what I wanted.
Okay, but that's where you started the target before, and I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But from there, what was the, if you will, your advancement or your chronology from camp to camp to camp to ship, what have you, so that you can see a growth pattern as far as your training and your abilities?
I don't know.
Well, I'm saying, okay, you started off at Jacksonville. Where
Yeah.
else did you go for any
So
additional training?
we had I think it was 15 weeks in Jacksonville, and then they shut the school down. They opened a new one in Memphis, Tennessee. So we went there to complete our electrical training in Memphis. We were up there another probably 10, 12 weeks in Memphis. Then they had us sign up for where we like to go to work in the Navy, you know, at our jobs that we're trained for. So I signed up for either Virginia or Germany. I got Virginia.
What was the difference between what was there that made it interesting for you?
Well, we were all going to overhaul and repair department somewhere, aviation, electrical school. Everybody that graduated would assign to an overhaul and repair department.
Oh, okay.
And we could pick where we wanted to go. So I put down Virginia or Germany. And I got Virginia, Norfolk. I was at Norfolk for 2 years, I guess. And they thing came up on the bulletin board, said all personnel who have been on this base 2 years or more can sign up for these different places to go and go to these
Yeah, next duty station.
next duty station. Yeah, so I signed up for Germany. I wound up in California, ready to go to Korea.
You got your maps backwards, I think.
Went the wrong direction.
Oh, now, well, let's see. The Princeton's an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
When did you report aboard there, or did you have a lot of training before you went aboard?
Oh, like I said, I was on the Box and the Bonhomme Richards before.
What about some of those duties as you did?
Some of it?
What were some of the duties you did on those other ships?
Keeping the aircraft electrically fit to fly.
Okay.
That was my main job.
Okay, were you a crew chief or just
No.
one of the gang?
Just a general worker.
Okay, but hey, they
Like
need them, let's face it. Everybody had a
Like
job.
a general peon, I guess you'd
Yeah,
call
hey,
it.
a well-fed peasant. Okay. Okay, now, when the assignment, if you came for the Princeton, were you allowed to make a choice, or were you just shipped there because
Well,
you
I
were
wasn't.
detailed?
I didn't make any choice about going to Whidbey Island to put it back in commission. But there was no talk whatsoever of ever being on it. They just wanted some Marines, some sailors, to go to Whidbey Island and help recommission.
Oh,
the
they're
Princeton.
taking them out of mothballs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
What
they've been
about
in
that?
mothballs since World War II.
There must have been a little Cosmoline here and there.
Oh, Cosmoline, oh man, that stuff is horrible. You have to have buckets of kerosene and rags and sponges and
Oh, yeah.
clean the Cosmoline.
And then it took a week to scrap it off you too. When you
Yeah, not only that, it burned the devil out
Oh,
of
yeah.
your skin too.
You ever get little cuts when you're on a wire, frayed wire, and you bump against that damn stuff? You're like a bunch of ants of
Yeah.
bees biting on you. Yeah. Oh.
But,
Well,
but there was no sign that we would ever be on the ship. We just were picked.
okay. Well, you did
Yeah,
a
we're
recommissioning
volunteers.
crew, yeah.
We were volunteers. You and you. I want you to go here.
Yeah.
You and you are going here.
Yeah, you were
whether you like it
selected
or not.
volunteer whether you wanted to go or not. Yes, sir. And away you
So
went.
I went.
Okay.
I had no choice no matter. So I went back to Naval Air Station in San Diego. I says, okay, now you're going out on the Bonhomme Richards. I said, okay. So I went to Bonhomme Richards. I was there maybe 2 or 3, 4 weeks. They said, okay, you're going back to San Diego. We should make up their mind.
Yeah.
Then we finally got word, well, the Princeton's being commissioned on such and such a date. You are going to be part of the air crew on the Princeton.
Good. Okay.
Okay, when's it coming in? It's not. It's going into Sasebo, Japan. And you're going to go aboard it there.
So how did you fly you over? Or?
No, they took us by troop transport to Hawaii, out of Pearl Harbor. Then we
Okay,
went
then
to
what?
the Naval Air Station in Pearl Harbor. We spent 2 weeks there waiting and wondering what was going on. They said, okay, see that troop transport out there? You're on it. Tomorrow morning, going to Japan to pick up the Princeton. So we were, well,
So you had, that was it, huh?
that was it.
Okay.
Our
Now-
planes flown over. They flew from San Diego to Hawaii. And a week later, they flew from Hawaii and caught the Princeton off the shore of Japan. Landed aboard the Princeton while it was cruising around Japan.
Give them a little practice, OJT on the tie. Huh?
So that's how we got our airplanes together.
Yeah. And was that then, was Yokohama, or was that your foreign port, or was it
No,
what-
Sasebo.
Sasebo?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sasebo and Yokosuka. Yokosuka's down where you can see the Mount Fujiyama out there
Hmm.
with a snow cap on it.
Oh yeah.
So we went aboard there, Yokosuka. I went on board at Sasebo. Then we took the ship down to Yokosuka. Then the rest of the people came aboard there. Then they went off the coast of Yokosuka, went up around the ocean, brought our planes over and landed on the ship. And from there we went to 100 miles off the North Korean shoreline, coastline.
Now, this is when they were declaring that incident, or just before the war, if you will?
No, the war
The
was on.
conflict is.
The war was already on,
Oh,
and we were going over to lend a hand.
okay.
So we were stationed 100 miles off the coast. And every 40 days, we come back to Japan for 10 days, rest and recuperation,
Now, how
repairs.
was R&R in Japan?
Good.
Anything special about it? Like, did you make well, we tried in Shanghai, selected souvenirs to send back home.
Yeah, yeah.
And all kinds of good stuff like that.
Yeah, I bought my mother a set of china, sent it back. And I bought her all these fancy silk pillowcases with the fringes on them. Sent back a bunch of those, and nightgown, not nightgown, house coats, things of that sort.
The big kimonos.
Yeah.
And the big obi and that kind
of. Yeah. And we went to, they had a camp up north of Yokosuka near Mount Fujian, and we got to climb part of Mount Fuji. Once in a while they take us on a tour up Mount Fuji a ways, not quite the snow line, which is quite a ways up, for 3,000–4,000 feet, the snow line.
Well, the many Japanese that, if you will, on a pilgrimage like some of them have to do, like something in their religion, or they want to get a special favor by climbing so high up the mountain? Or,
that I don't know. We didn't have Japanese guides. We had American guides.
Oh, okay. That's different.
People that worked in Japan. I don't know if they were tourist people or what. Tour guides.
Tour guides, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we had, one time we had one Japanese man who was amongst a group of guiding us. But that was the only time I ever saw Japanese in the rest camp.
Do you guys ever have any problems ashore with the shore patrol and things like that when you get a little bit wild on liberty?
No, not really.
Kind of quiet?
I minded my own business and behaved myself.
Well, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, I guess. Now, while you were out there cruising up and down, as you say, were you part of a task force, or is it because you couldn't talk about it?
Yeah, we were in task force. In fact, there was 3 carriers, the Franklin D. Roosevelt, and I think the Boxer was part of the 3, along with the Princeton.
Okay, and then you had the usual
and we had the tin cans and the supply ships and things like that with us.
And do you have any underway supplies? We've seen some of the guys try to talk about the going side by side.
Yeah.
Everything is up and down and sideways. And
I got a picture of that here.
oh, let's show it. Yeah.
This picture right here.
Okay, I'll hold it.
The one in the middle.
Can you get that pretty good? Get the right angle? We're sneaking up on it. Now, anything special when you were on the way? Did you have anything to do with the transferring of material?
Nope, just stay out of the way.
Just stay the heck out of the way.
That was none of our business. That was ship's crew.
It's amazing that something that big and that heavy could float.
I know. That's what I've always thought too. How does it stay on top of the water?
Yeah, it's going to tip over. Everybody to one side and should belly roll over.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think about that.
I guess sometimes they have done that, though, capsized.
That's not the good
but
way to go.
But they're full of air inside.
Yeah.
And they have a wide displacement, so they float like a board, I guess. But like that one, 33,000 tons. Yeah. It stays on top of the water, plus all the aircraft besides.
Yeah, and the island, that's what, 15, 20 stories high?
Yeah. And that's a small carrier compared to what they got today.
I know.
It's only 800 and some odd feet long.
Yeah.
The ones are 1,600.
Okay, now is it safe to ask you while you were in that task force if you were in any engagements and so forth, or is this something you don't want to talk about? You tell me.
Oh, whatever.
No, I'm trying to be nosy without being nosy, because I want to make sure that your experiences are told the way you want it done.
We just had to await orders until we could put our airplanes into the ruckus, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't go anytime we wanted to. We had to wait by command orders to come through. They needed our aircraft too. And we were a night attack squadron, so we flew at night.
Okay, you said that, yeah. At sundown you took off, and at sun up you came down.
Yeah, or before, if our fuel was going short.
If you ran out of juice, you come down real quick.
Yeah, sometimes they came out just barely fuel enough to get there.
Mm-hmm. Have to pick anybody up? Sometimes they crash too?
We had one Corsair went down. In fact, we had 2. One went down before he got to the ship. He was making his pass ready to land.
Oh, coming in.
And he just ran out of fuel. Another guy took off from the ship, got up maybe 600–800 feet, the engine quit.
Turtle right in.
And he had the guts to stay in that airplane until a ship passed over his head, and then he got out and came up the
He didn't eject then.
He didn't eject. He knew about it. He'd get run
yeah.
over by the ship if he did.
There'd be half of him here and half someplace else.
So he just let his plane sink down and stayed with it. He saw the last of the props go over his head, and he ejected. Underwater, 36, 38 feet down.
Yeah, that's smart.
That took a lot of guts.
A lot of guts and training. Good
Yeah.
reaction, because you don't have any time to really think. It's almost all a normal
And they
reaction.
sent the helicopter right out looking.
Yeah.
Oop, he popped out like a cork. They went and picked him up and brought him aboard.
Yeah, that's great.
Lieutenant J.G.
Now, how long were you on station? Or is that
I
classified?
had, like I said, 40 days,
Okay.
and we were about 11 months total.
All right, and then would you go back to Japan, or did you come
Went
back
back
home?
to Japan, to Yokosuka.
Okay.
That was our assigned port, was Yokosuka. And we go in for 10 days, and they'd repair any deck problems or
Oh, okay.
anything of that sort, bring aboard supplies that we couldn't get at sea, transferred from at sea, and brought aboard that way. Bring them in on the hangar deck and then distribute them through the ship. Do any repairs, mechanical repairs or whatever. Japanese crews all came in. That was a strange part. We had all Japanese crews.
Oh,
Even repairing the flight deck. The flight deck is just big logs, big square timbers, laid in the channels in the iron. I suppose the softer they're from to land on, more wood rather than
yeah,
steel.
no, when they're coming in with the tail hook down, and you got to catch that cable.
Yeah.
Would that get in the way, or the wood get in the way of that?
No.
Any ruts?
No.
Because that's, you got to
Yeah,
really
well,
go.
the cables were about this high off the deck.
Yeah, okay.
The cable wasn't touching the deck when it
Oh,
landed
okay,
either.
that's my
Yeah,
question.
'cause-
I didn't put it right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the wire and stopped it. If it didn't, there's a big net popped up out of the deck. All steel cable, great big net like a fish net, popped up, and the plane just ran
Just
into it and
slides
twisted
into
the
it.
propeller up and stopped.
No.
Shut the airplane down and wrecked the engine, probably.
No, to that point, there was a fellow about a year ago who was in called the landing adjustment crew. I don't know, someplace down inside where they were controlling the amount of pressure on the pistons as far as the landing
Yeah,
to balance it for the
Yeah.
weight of the plane, the speed of the plane, and
Yeah.
the length of. That takes a lot of smarts.
yeah. That's all computerized now, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. But back then, the guy had to write it down.
Real quick and make sure he knew what the hell he
Yeah,
was
it was
talking about.
calculus or slide rule or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, now, how long were you there before you came back to the States?
It's
What,
like
2 years?
almost 11 months.
Okay, and then when you came back to the States, where'd you point in? Where'd
I
you
was
come
in
in?
San Diego.
That was then your home port?
Yeah, that was our home port.
Did you take any sorties out from there?
And
Uh,
what?
Did you take any sorties or trips back from there?
Yeah, we went up to San Francisco, put in San Francisco for a week or so. And we came back to San Diego, and they did some overhauls and put us all on the base. And put our squadron back on shore,
Okay,
the part of it that I was with.
and that's where you, if you will, left the Navy?
No, I was in the hospital for 4
Oh.
months.
Okay, we won't go there if you don't want to.
Had my guts torn up.
Oh, that's not good.
So they put me in the hospital, and I was 4 months like an outpatient after that. And then after that, I got discharged.
Okay. Now, we discharged there and sent home, or did you get to Boston or something?
I stayed in San Diego.
Oh,
I went to work there, job offered to me at the aircraft
good.
plant.
okay.
One of my friends was the boss down there, and he offered me a job.
Yeah, that's not too bad to have a
So I went to work on B-36s,
Okay.
those 6-engine pusher jobs.
Yeah.
They never got in the war, actually, I
Yeah.
don't think. There's an opening on the front of the wing for the air to go in over the engine. And they stuffed me in that opening and shoved me down through the wing.
Whoops.
And I connected the starters and the generators and anything electrical on the engines. Then they hauled me back out again.
Like the old Goonie birds and the seagulls used to get down in the air scoops.
Yeah.
And they pulled you out. They didn't grind you up.
No, I had a cable and belt on me. And I had a belt like between my ankles.
Mm-hmm.
So the cable went through a loop on the belt too, just in case. They'd haul me back out when I was done hooking up the starter and generators. And sometimes I worked inside wiring the instrument panels and the rear gun panels and all that sort of thing.
So that's what being a short guy made,
Yeah, I was
made you
small. I
popular.
was small and short. I could fit through the openings, and slide down in.
Now, how long did that last?
I think I was there about a year and a half. And then a friend of mine had a good job offered to him in San Francisco, up at the San Francisco airport, Daly City. And he got a job there and sent word back that they would like 2 or 3 more people on that particular part that he was in. He was aircraft electrical, flight electrical. So I went up, applied for a job, and got it.
Good.
I worked there 2 or 3 months, and they wanted to know if I would go to Pikes Peak, Colorado Springs, and work for them over there for a while.
Oh.
I said, okay. So I went to Colorado Springs. I had a real rotten boss. He was the nastiest person I ever ran up against in my life. So I told him, I said, hey, either I'm out of here or I get back to San Diego. He says, well, your time is almost up here anyway. Another week and we'll send you back to San Diego anyway. I said, okay. And sure enough, that week was up, and I got papers said I could go back to San Diego. So I went back to San Diego, and maybe 2 weeks later, they shut down the job. There was no job. So I went back to San Diego, got a job in an auto parts house, and then in the garage, running auto parts and picking up and delivering cars and things like that, making no money whatsoever. I said, nuts to this. So I put aside a little bit of money each week, got enough money to get a bus ticket home, and I came home.
Okay, now home was what, Greenfield or?
Greenfield at the time, yeah.
Okay. Then what?
Then I moved in my parents' house in Coleraine. I lived there a while. I worked in Greenfield. And I worked in the auto parts house, and a guy from New Hampshire came down, and we got talking one day, and he says, you need a better paying job? He says, I said, yeah, I sure do.
Hell yeah.
I said, I could sure use one. So I went up to Keene and talked to him. I said, okay. 2 weeks later, I went to work for him. And that wasn't a great job. You have to work a lot of crazy hours. You work during the day one day, and the afternoon and evening the next day, maybe all night the next day.
That's weird.
Pumping gas.
Oh.
But it was good, like I said, it's pretty good pay. And one of my good friends I had in New Hampshire for years, he offered me a job in a research lab where they made these tiny, tiny ball bearings for cameras. And what we were doing was making guidance systems for a Redstone missile for the gyros to control the directional controls with little tiny ball bearings. So I went to work over there. A lot better pay. A lot better.
Now, was that for like someone like Raytheon or just another private
lab? That was for
lab?
what they call a Miniature Precision Ball Bearing Company.
Okay.
They made them for, I don't know who the manufacturer, I mean, who the company was. It was somebody who bought the gyros. We had contracted to this, like a subcontractor. Made the little tiny gyros with the ball bearings. Some of them went to Boston to another company for cameras, things of that sort. Because inside the camera is a few little tiny ball bearings. Complete ball bearing, 18 balls, the whole bit. It's only that big around.
Yeah, and it had to be smooth and work well. Huh?
So I worked in the research lab. What I did is engineers would design test equipment. Then they'd give me the prints, and I would go in the shop, and I would turn out these pieces on a milling machine, the lathes, things of that sort, shapers. And I'd make the parts for them.
Where did you get your machine shop background?
High school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I took machine shop in high school and auto shop too.
That stayed with you? It stayed with you as far as the training.
Yeah.
It came back good.
So I ran machines there for a while, and then they said, well, we just fired the photographer. We had an industrial photographer. They had their own photo labs and everything. So they fired the photographer. He was getting out of hand, so they got rid of him. They said, how would you like to run the photo lab? And I said, okay.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, so I ran the photo lab. I did industrial photography at the plant where I worked, plus 3 other plants around Keene.
Now, did you go out and man the cameras, or you just do the processing, or the whole?
We had high-speed motion picture cameras. They'd have a machine that maybe made 50, 60 motions within seconds.
Yeah.
I ran a high-speed camera, which brought those motions right down to like this. and you could see what was going wrong.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they would double stamp something, or they would nick some part that they were stamping out because of the fluctuation in the bit that was coming down and stamping those parts. It ruined the part, and they want to know why it was ruining so many parts. So I put this high-speed camera on the part and on the machine where the part was being made. You could see every move of that tool. You could see it wobble or twist this way instead of this way or whatever. That was my job.
That sounds uninteresting, though.
Then I did photography of heat treating, take pictures of the metal before it was heated, take pictures of metal after it was heated, take pictures of metal as being smashed up to see what kind of stress it would take to break it, and how many revolutions a ball bearing can make without any lubrication, how many revolutions it make with too much lubrication, things of that sort.
That sounds, you must have had a real good time flipping around, and it all seems to be adding up to something great.
Yeah, and then finally their business started slowing down like Keene always did. Every 5 or 6 years, Keene goes.
Yeah, down the tubes.
Yeah.
Almost.
So somebody says, oh, you ought to go down to Connecticut. The aircraft is hiring like crazy. They just got through a strike. Now they want people like crazy. So I came down to Windsor Locks, got a job at Hamilton Standard, no sweat. Right in.
And that was why you then started living down in Enfield, I think.
That's why I started living in Connecticut, yeah.
Now, throughout all this, when did you finally get married?
Year after I moved to Connecticut.
Okay.
We'd been going together for 3 years, and I finally got a job where it was stable. Okay, we're all set. So then I started dabbling with newspaper photography on the side. I was doing photos for the newspaper. Then the Enfield Press put me to work as a photo engraver and photographer and linotype operator.
Good Lord.
So I did that for a while, and I got a full-time job with the Springfield newspapers. Fantastic pay for that time, which was $5.25 an hour, and that was
That's good money.
Pay.
Good money.
Everybody else was paying $2.80, $2.90. That was $5.25. So I went to work there, and we bought a house. 4 months later, I went to work one Friday morning, and the boss says, oh, you, and you, and you in the office now. Okay, what's going on? He says, got some bad news for you. He said, we just got our new photo engraving automatic machinery set up, and it's online now. He says,
goodbye.
You people are all laid off as of tonight.
Ooh.
Just like that. You're done tonight, he says.
No advanced training
No
or
advance
a warning
notice
or
or
anything?
nothing.
Didn't they have any kind of a union to kind of...
Yeah, they got a union, boy, it's powerful too, because the guy in California, if he's got 5 years experience, you got 4, he can come from California and take your job.
Yeah, that's why I was questioning.
And you're out the door, he's a brand new man, but he's got 5 years experience there or anywhere in the world because of the printers union. I never was in the union.
Oh, okay.
So there I went again. So then I went from there to, let's see, where did I go from there? I went to Bradley's department store in Enfield. And then I went to another department store in Enfield, and I drove gasoline tanker after at night, weekends. And I worked in a little plastic shop, making plastic parts, running the milling machines, running shapers and lathes, making drafting tools, T-squares, triangles, French curves, pieces and that. But,
So you punch them out or just trace them out with a laser or something like that?
Yeah, trace them out with a laser, cut them with a shaper.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a Bridgeport milling machine with a special head on it that followed these laser cuttings. So I did that for a good while. Actually, it was about 7 years. I worked 3 jobs a day to keep the house.
Yeah.
Then I finally got a job with the Union Carbide. Liquid oxygen, liquid nitrogen, hydrogen, helium, argon, cryogenics. I worked in the plant for a couple of years, and then they put me on the road, the technician, taking care of customers, pipelines, tanks, pumps, and vaporizers and stuff of that sort. I had Pittsfield Hospital here for a couple of years. I did all their oxygen systems here.
Oh.
I did oxygen systems anywhere from Danbury, Connecticut to Brunswick, Maine. That was my territory.
One question keeps going in the back of my mind. What haven't you done?
I haven't found that out yet.
Okay, but you're still in there trying, huh? Now, how about your family? Do you have a family? Boys, girls? The only kind you can get?
Yeah, I got 2 boys. Like I said, one's a businessman in Hartford. He's not married. He's more interested in kayaking on the ocean and running around, buy this, that, and the other. He's got a terrific job. He was vice president of one company for a while, and he went to another company, and he's working his way in. He does their computer setups like that.
Oh.
And he's an insurance man, what they call reinsurance. They go out and buy up lots of insurance, 20, 30, 40, 50 million, and they go out and spread it all over.
Spread it all around, yeah.
Get other companies to share it with them, so they won't get hit for the whole 50 million if something happens.
Well, like nothing like these mortgage things we've been having the last year or so around here, was it? You know, everybody got hit. And whatever you had in the bank ain't there no more. The bank is
right.
gone. That's great.
And you're, what the heck they call it? There's some kind of like a savings thing that the company can swipe anytime they want it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, my salary. Oh, God.
IRAs.
Now, changing gear a little bit. Did you ever join anything like the Legion, Foreign Legion, BFW, American?
I don't like any part of clubs.
Okay, I guess the answer is no.
That's what amazes me. What I'm doing now, I've been doing for 6 years, and I don't know why I started doing it, but I love it. I was working at the senior center. I'm a computer teacher.
Good. So you're sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, I've been there 6 years teaching now.
Okay, do you like it?
I love it.
Okay, now you're not the mean guy that you were talking about before.
No.
Are you a good teacher? Are you people happy with you, and are you happy with them?
We have a great time. Some of the people go around and they say, "Oh, this is Richard. He's the best computer teacher I ever had in my life."
Oh, good. Okay, so you're making your mark, let's face it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
But I have a good time with those people. They're
Okay.
not snotty. They know they need to have me show them what to do, how to do. And some of them come in there and they don't even know how to turn a computer on when they first come in there.
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
When they go home, they know how to do word processing, they know how to do internet, they know how to do emails.
Now, this is a volunteer job. This isn't for pay, is it?
The what?
This is a volunteer job?
Yeah.
So there's no, okay.
I get the best pay in the world, nothing.
Okay, but it's something you worked hard to get to, though. You know, this is the irony of life.
But I went to college for three and a half years,
Oh,
all computer stuff.
okay, where? What school? What school?
At Nantucket Community College in Enfield.
And was it a full 3 or 4 year course? Did you
No,
graduate?
I
or-
took them as they came. It was 1 semester here, 1 semester there, 1 semester here.
And it all added up.
There was nothing for degrees. I didn't go for a degree. I just went to get what I wanted to learn.
Okay, well, it's a practical way to go in
Yeah,
the
so
world
I
today.
did 3.5 years there. In fact, I still go there once a month now with their coffee house poetry. I'm the opening reader and the closing reader for their poetry events.
Yeah, I took some of that on the earlier show. It was pretty good.
I open all their literary programs, and if there isn't too many readers, I close the program. And the professors are very upset if I don't show up.
Oh.
Like when I was coming up here, I told them I had to come here tonight instead of to Nantucket.
Mm-hmm.
The lady said, "Well, I'm very, very unhappy with you about that, but I understand. That's more important." She
Yeah,
said.
you got a choice once in a while what you want to do too. You know, it works that way sometimes.
But I did an opening twice this last month because one of the professors put out a new poetry book. So I did the opening for her book thing, her book show. She wanted me to open for her
Good. Yeah.
her program on her book.
Now, do you ever go around when they have book signings and that kind of stuff, or is that out of
No.
your bag?
Oh, this is just at the college for
Okay.
book stuff.
Well, we're getting signed, if you will, as you know here. Time starts to run out, and all of a sudden we're running out a little bit of a time. Kind of question, if you will. With all the experience you've had and your Navy works, do you feel that your Navy experience was positive or negative? Did it help you get through life and make a better life
I
out of
think it was positive, actually. It made me grow up.
it? Okay.
I changed from a little kid to a man.
Okay, real quick sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did actually boost my adulthood pretty good in the long run.
Now, the old question to some of the kids today, anything is a way of, well, advice that you'd like to give or an opinion to some of the guys, maybe gals, do they or do they not want to go to the service? Would you recommend it? If so, where and why?
In today's world, I don't know if I'd recommend it or not.
Okay, it's a good answer.
Because things are so bad now, war-wise, that it'd be a hard decision to make.
I know, but somebody has to make it. That's the bad
Oh yeah,
part.
somebody has to make it. That's up to them.
Yeah, okay.
I'm out of it, and I'm staying out of it. There's two things can get you in real trouble. That's politics and religion.
Okay, I'll buy that. It's been said before.
I stay away from
Okay.
arguing about either one of them.
All right. Well, this has been short and sweet. I hope it's been worth your while.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say the old-fashioned, thank you, Dick. Oh, you're nice and warm, too, by God. Stay close. Thank you for your help and your service. We appreciate it.
Yeah, like a lot of people tell me, boy, you've done all those things. You put about 70 years into 25 years.
Yeah, hey, well, you do the math. And
Like I said, I had to do something.
Yeah.
When I lost my job after I just bought a house, there's no way I could say, well, the heck with it, let the house
No,
go.
you can't.
No,
You can't. Plus, you got the family.
I got family to support. I've got to do something.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care if I've never done it before. I'll try it.
Sure. Good. I think that's a wrap, folks. And again, as I say, just was one more guy who had something to do and he did his job. And all we can say to you out there, if you can and will and would like to, give us a shot. We'd like to help anybody and everybody, not just World War II or Vietnam, Korea, all of the other services that now seem to be the thing that people talk about. We need your help, but we're willing to do all we can to make sure that your show is a good one and your story is something you will treasure. Again, Bob Stevens saying thank you. Come back and see us, please. Good night.